All right, sounds good. Okay. All right, welcome to the natural gas storage report. My name is Lee Goldstein. I'm the trading director for 10-Minute Trades. Please remember all the trades we discuss for educational purposes. It's possible to lose money trading, so please trade carefully, trade smart. And let's get started. So this morning we're going to look at natural gas, and we're going to hang around a little bit and do the see if we can do the after news trade. Going to practice it until the end of the year and see how it goes. And of course, everyone can make it their own. You don't have to do it exactly the same way that we do it, and that's the beauty of it. So natural gas is still on 0122. And I just want to remind everybody that if you're on YouTube, you can come into the room for the next, what do we got? We got 12 days of Christmas and the holidays, and we're on our third day, right? We're on our third day, so people can come into the room. No point, you don't need to watch, you don't need to stream because streaming is delayed. All right, let's talk a little bit about natural gas. I want to thank everybody. I know there are some new people here and a lot of normal regulars, abnormal regulars, normal regulars. Let's look at the natural gas report. Don't forget, I typed it in already. The WASD masterclass is tomorrow, Friday at noon. And today we have a WASD trade just by fluke. Comes at the same time. It certainly would be nice to have a winning WASD trade today, wouldn't it? That would be great. Certainly like to see that. So let's talk a little bit about natural gas. One thing that you might want to know how to do, let me just give you the WASD registration link. Now you must register if you want the video. If you don't register, we can't promise that you're going to receive a video. You must register for the class. So the WASD registration link is what? www.fmt2021.com. So WASD, pretty much WASD with an asterisk is our best family money trade. And I'll explain in the class why it's with an asterisk. Okay, so natural gas. What do we do at natural gas? Look at the daily report. First of all, I assume you can all hear me fine, right? Nobody's saying anything. So it's The Walking Dead, as I said, the trade room of The Walking Dead. It's the quietest trade room I've ever been in. Okay. Let's take a look at the report first. And you can see how you see what a troubled report looks like. 5 out of 6 stops. Now, do you think I would be trading this live today? I don't think so. Now, it doesn't necessarily have an effect on the after the news setup. Just because the main report, the breakout, doesn't work, that doesn't really mean that the after the news trade won't work. They're not necessarily related. Now, one thing I realized that I think we missed last week And we don't know yet if it's meaningful to the after the news setup for natural gas, but volume would have been mixed last week because natural gas rolled over the day after our presentation. So volume was mixed, which could have an effect on how the index behaves. That is definitely possible. Okay. Now, so what do I mean by volume mixed? If you check the daily volume on natural gas, and I have a little template that I use to just do instrument daily volume and days until rollover. And if I add the natural gas current contract and I add the natural gas future contract, which is 222, natural gas and oil have monthly contracts. You can see the volume the daily volume is higher on the one contract. Last week, sorry, we would have had a moderate amount of volume on 12 and 1. On 12, because we were moving over from 12 to 1. But I'm looking at the days until rollover. So last week it would have been 25. But without really doing a deep dive, it might not have been mixed volume. I was just thinking it might have based on the rollover day. But it is something to just be aware of when the volume is similar between two contracts. In other words, it's split because it's close to rollover. That we call mixed volume. And we have had a rule where we don't trade natural gas reports when the volume is mixed. In other words, one day before rollover, usually, or the day of rollover. The volume tends to still be on the old contract and the new. Mixed volume in the old days, going back a couple of years ago, seemed to cause more failed trades. But then it stopped being a factor and we didn't pay attention to it. And I started looking at it recently and it seems like it's had some effect. Speaking anecdotally about it, not having done any deep dive testing recently on mixed volume. Now, when you look at a report like we have here, natural gas, last week it stopped. The week before it stopped. It won on the 18th. It stopped on the 10th. It stopped on the 4th. It stopped on the 28th. That's not good natural gas trading. I would not trade any report live in any account when that's the way it's working. There's no reason to risk your money on an obvious index that's not giving you an opportunity for profit on its report. It's not a guessing game. When the data is obvious, you pay attention to the data and you move on to the next report. It's no big deal. So I'm still going to set up my trade, but I'm just not going to trade it live because I'm not interested in giving the market money just for kicks. It's not what we do. So it's a bracket of 5 for natural gas. It's a target of 5 on the first target. And so I'll use the third target as my second target. In other words, if you traded 3 contracts, 5, 8, and 12 could be your targets. I'll do 5 and 12. I would not trade 3 contracts probably on natural gas. We have seen natural gas go crazy, and it started in September. And I'll show you what I mean. So the stop is 15 ticks, and our entry time is 10:29:59. I'll show you September's beginning of the natural gas difficulty. So we'll call this, I'll label this natural gas report. Okay, and again, I'm not interested in putting real money at risk on this report. It may work today because it hasn't worked but once in the past 6 weeks. What's interesting is we had 3 stops in a row and traded and made 15 ticks on the 18th. We took the probability trade on natural gas on the 18th of November and made $150 on natural gas that day because we took one contract for 15 ticks and had a very good move. Let me record. So, even though natural gas is trading horribly, if it has 3 stops in a row again, I would probably take that probability trade again and go for 15 ticks. Depending if it's Christmas week, I might not. Let me show you when natural gas started going wild. It was September 16th. September 16th, and it just goes to show, excuse me, I got into news trading because of natural gas. It was the index, it was the report when I was a trade station user that got me interested in trading natural gas. And this is what used to happen pretty regularly. It wasn't a rare event. Watch the index. It does like a triple whipsaw. Now maybe hang on, let me get the right video because that is not the right video. That was a good move, actually. That's what a good move in natural gas looks like. Hold tight. My video is labeled, darn it, it's labeled incorrectly. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to show it now because I didn't look at it, which I probably should have. Give me a second. So it was around September that natural gas went crazy. So I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, but it did. Yeah, that was the video. I must have mislabeled it. It's unfortunate. Let me try the week after. Just for fun. Let's see what it did the week after. And then I'll find it for now. I think this was it. Okay, so natural gas is going to shoot down. Watch it shoot up. It went so fast that the software couldn't keep up with it. It was just totally, that's still not the crazy one I'm looking for. But in September, natural gas started acting irrational, is the way I would call it. So on 9/9, it went pretty crazy also. Let's try. I know I labeled it, but I don't see it. So I don't want to waste any more time. I'm looking for the report because I clearly accidentally mislabeled it. Now I got to find it again. So it's not the end of the world. What it did, though, it went down, it went up, it went down, it went in multiple directions. You couldn't keep up with it. And it moved so fast that you couldn't even see all the moves with the naked eye. Let me try one more video just because of the way I have this described. This was September also. No, this is too old, so no, it doesn't mean anything. Sorry. All right, so you'll just have to trust me. I'll show it next week. I'll show the bad trade next week. Here was the 18th of November. This was our probability winning trade on natural gas. You can tell I'm live because my trade control panel turns white and you can see our account. And it was a little worrisome, and then it burst down and hit my targets. I thought it might fail. What scared me a little bit wasn't quite the exact move I was looking for. I was looking for a total move straight down. That's what I was looking for, and I didn't get it. See how it filled and then it stopped and then it pushed down, and it reversed very quickly that day also. You can see it. It's way back above where it entered already. A couple of seconds. Natural gas has been trading absolutely insane. Insane. Not profitably, to say the least. So let's check I just want to check my brackets because I'm not going to be watching I guess I will be watching it, but if you put the time on 0 with our software, you can see what your brackets would be if you enable the software. See, those are perfect brackets. So I know my charts are perfect. In other words, the software, because I set the time to 0, thinks the trade is over. It thinks it's midnight or 12 in the morning, but it's not, obviously. So then put the time back to 10:29:59, apply it, and enable the trade. Now I'm back. All right. On the other side, I've got my 30-second chart. I'm going to set up for after the news setup. I don't know how many people were here for our presentation. Excuse me, a couple of weeks ago. Not a couple of weeks, last week. We did our presentation. I'm losing all track of time. It's December. It feels like it should be October. It's already the holidays. I can't believe it. So I do want to thank, there's a lot of people here. I want to thank you all for coming in. And don't forget to register for the masterclass Friday. Free. No charge. But you got to register. So the setup for the after the news setup is I'm using a squeeze play as my trade setup. Okay. I'm using the squeeze play, and I've saved a template. So once you put the strategy on where it shows up under configured, you could save a template after you set your strategy. So now I can load my template, and it's called After the News. And it's just a one contract, looking for a quick profit. I'm using one tick above the range. Okay, the first thing you should do is choose squeeze play, trade type. Scroll down, choose squeeze play. I'm going to label it also squeeze play. Why not? That's what it's called. All right. I'm labeling it the squeeze play. Time doesn't matter. It's a manual entry. It's a discretionary after the report trade. So the first thing you do is by choosing the squeeze play, and it's the squeeze play is a one-click range trade with some extra features. So the key word is range. Something has to create a range. It could be time, which it isn't in this case, or it could be one-click bars look back. The number of bars look back to assess the one-click range. In other words, that's a fancy way of saying, how many bars am I going to use to create a range? And we're going to use 2. Okay, and we're going to use one tick above the range and one tick below the range to enter. We're not going to enter until we're pulled in. One click above or one click below, one tick above, one tick below. And we're just looking for 8 ticks of profit. And we're using a 10-tick stop. And we're drawing the range by checking off graphic shown on chart. And you can choose whatever color you want for the range. And time doesn't matter. I've got a stop of 10. I've got one position for 8 ticks profit. That's it. It's very simple setup. Just make sure you've chosen squeeze play. When you enable the squeeze play, watch what happens. You get all these crazy buttons. And because you clicked graphics shown on chart, it starts drawing the range. So you can watch the range. It starts drawing a 2-bar range. Every 2 bars, it'll adjust the range, right? Or actually every bar it will adjust because it'll have a new second bar. You have all these crazy buttons. Don't let it confuse you. It's not confusing at all. Ignore the left button, 1-click range entry. That would be used if we didn't know what direction we were going to go. But we know what direction we're going to go. We don't know yet. We're going to know after the report, though. Okay? So we're going to know the direction, which is unusual for us. Usually we don't know or care about direction. This trade is different. Oops, I messed with my setup for my brackets. Okay. We're going to ignore the 2 right buttons. We're not going to enter immediately using our software as an ATM. It has stops and targets set, right? We're not going to go long with an ATM. We're not going to go short immediately. So those 2 buttons are not used. We're not going to pay attention. We only need to pay attention to the middle 2 buttons. 1-click range long, 1-click range short. When we click one of those buttons, it's going to put the order at the top line if we go long, or at the bottom line if we go short. So it's going to use the range and pull us into the trade if we're 1 tick above the 2-bar range. We're not going to enter. We're not going to look for a signal. We're going to take 3 minutes. 3 minutes after the news. So there will be a direction, almost always in the squeeze. If the direction is down, then after 3 minutes, we'll wait for the squeeze to change color and momentum. And normally we enter on the second bar, the second momentum bar, if the moving averages have also changed direction, started to change direction. They don't have to cross, but they need to change direction. This is borderline changing direction. This is flat, this is flat, flat. The blue, which is, which one is my blue? My blue is 47. Let me think. My blue is 8. Blue is 8. Red is 21. Gold is 47. Black is 100. See how now it's trending down, but we don't care what it's doing now. First thing we're going to do is watch our breakout trade. Then we're going to wait 3 minutes on a 30-second chart using the squeeze signals. And we want the squeeze, the one change we make to the squeeze besides the colors is we make the momentum length 17 on a 30-second chart. Now, I don't care what color you use, doesn't matter. I don't care what squeeze you use. You could use R squeeze, gem squeeze, GTM squeeze. There's a lot of squeezes out there. It doesn't matter. But you just want to make sure your colors work in a way that your short is a dark and a light color, and your long is a dark and a light color that relate to each other, and that you can see the change of momentum easily. Now, this is a setup that one of our members, Mark, who's in here, showed us during the bulk of the world crisis when it first began. He was using the squeeze in a different way, and it was really clever, and we like it. So we stole it from him. And we liked it so much, we put it in our software. Because it's such a good idea, we put the ability to enter a trade into our software. Our software is like a super ATM. you can use it for discretionary trading because you can enter manually like we're going to do here. Remember, we're either going to go long or short using the one-click range long or the one-click range short button. By not using the long only or the short only, the long only and the short only puts you in the trade immediately. We're going to wait 3 minutes, and then I'll talk us through the setup. And the reason I'm not doing it live, because this is new to me. I haven't been trading this way, so I'm practicing just like you should. I want to make sure I have it down. What we did is another one of our members, Fred, who gave the presentation, he took my idea that I took from Mark about how I would enter with the squeeze, and he added the moving averages to try and make it safer. And Fred trades his way and does very, very well, especially with natural gas. Last week, it didn't work, but we downloaded some data from a different date and it worked great. So it was actually a very good presentation, even though it wasn't perfect during the presentation. That doesn't mean one bad trade does not make a bad setup. And that's why I'm always bugging everybody about testing, learning to test, practicing, etc., etc. I don't have to say it 1,000 times, but you're going to see at tomorrow's masterclass why testing is so important. And it's not even at the masterclass. You know that testing is important because you looked at today's report. If you didn't get our daily report, but you tested natural gas at the report time, you'd know that it was stopping out. You don't have to have us if you learn to test. We make it easier for you to do more and more testing more quickly so you can be alerted to more different setups. Our benefit, why are we good? We're good because we give you so many things you don't have time to do all of them on your own. We've done so many of them already. I was syncing my time because for the report, I go to the website time.is to sync my time. Now they're expecting a 54 billion barrel drawdown. That's a moderate amount of gas. They're expecting that there will be a drawdown that normally would push prices up. Okay? Normally. Doesn't always. Natural gas, just because the way it's been trading lately, we can't count on natural gas to do anything reliable right now at the time of the report. That's going to be our right side. Okay? We're just trying to watch it and see what happens. I don't know, is anyone out there trading live using our settings? Sometimes there's a few people that trade natural gas live no matter what. Now it's close to the trade, so you don't have to type in anything. Just pay attention to your charts. So let's watch and see what natural gas does. Then we have 3 minutes to go over our after news trade and see if I can do it properly. So natural gas should be a good trade today. That probably would have hit all my targets, okay? It was fast. There's no guarantee that would have worked. It was pretty fast, but it went very far past the targets. I think that had a good possibility of working. So if anybody traded live, that's how I would know. So we have a big range. Now the direction right now is to the upside, but we have to wait 3 minutes. After 3 minutes, there was more gas used. All right, there was more of a drawdown, which should push the price up. This should be a good setup for us. It should be a good setup. So we want to see the moving averages change direction, and we want to see a dark green, 2 bars, dark green, before we enter. Now I can put my orders on whenever. We know we're going to be short right now. So far, it should, at this moment, it should be a short trade. Now, what Fred did is he took my entry, which would be the first bar that prints dark green, in this case, would be my entry, which is a higher risk entry. I did not normally wait 3 minutes like Fred does. Why does he wait the 3 minutes? To give the index a chance to calm down and give you an opportunity to catch an honest move rather than a herky jerk. A herky jerk. I think I just made that up. Do the herky jerk. Wasn't there a dance? Do the herky jerk. Yeah. See, now I would enter, but we can't enter yet. We can't enter till 10:33. So we're just going to wait. And this is where, to me, Fred's setup confuses me a little bit. And I'm being honest. I mean, for me, see, I would enter now because it's really clear that there's a possible directional change. But the moving averages are not giving you a signal. There's no signal. But now we have an issue where half of the signal is there. In other words, we have a signal at 10:33. The signal came early, is what I'm saying. The moving averages do not support entry. Okay, so what I would like to see, I'd like to see price go up because I don't have an entry. The moving averages are pointing up. They're pointing up. So I have to wait. I have to wait. Now, in theory, I believe, if I'm correct, that Fred would now wait for a long signal because this is short. The short signal came too early. Now, I would have entered on that first bar and I would have hit my first target. That's why I like taking the extra risk personally. But we're using Fred's method because it's lower risk. Fred, are you here? Because I want to make sure that I'm right, because this is the situation that makes it tricky. See, this one moving average is moving down, but it was all rather late. So I don't see it as being a short signal yet. I think the signal's got to be, if the moving averages were to go back up, why would it not be a long signal? Do you all follow me what the confusion is for the entry? It's somewhat a little bit confusing. So maybe we'll talk to Fred after using his setup. Now, my setup is clearer but riskier. See, we have the proper time, but it was already a short signal before. So I'm not going in short because I don't really have moving averages supporting me. I've only got the blue slightly turned. It's pretty flat. You have a green big candle moving up. That's not for me. See, now you have a long entry, so why not take it long, right? And this is what I have to go over with Fred, because I definitely don't follow all of his entry rules, because this particular case is extremely tricky. It was short, early, before 3 minutes. So I think you all understand what I'm saying and why I'm somewhat confused about entry. So I still wouldn't go short. Your moving averages are pointing up, right? Moving averages are pointing up. That's not a valid short move. So what I'm going to do is let it drop. I might wait 10 minutes. And I'm not going to go in until there's a proper long signal. And that would be, you have to have 2 bars, right? You have to have 2 bars. You don't have moving averages that have ever supported a short move this morning. Now, what's interesting is you did have a momentum change. You did have a momentum change. AJ, what do you mean? What was the news report? What does that mean? I don't know what you mean. So now I'm waiting for a long signal. The news supports it. You had a drawdown. So let it pull down a little more would be fine by me. Print a couple of big red bars. Okay. Print a couple of red bars. And when I get a second coral bar, the moving averages are already heading up. The blue will probably change. NG, AJ, yes, NG. So right now you're still short. It's a short signal. The moving averages are not supporting long. I mean the momentum bars on the squeeze. The blue is heading down. The other 3 are flattish. And you need 2 coral colored red bars. It was negative 59. So it's still pushing down. Moving averages are not in agreement. Okay. So I don't have a trade here. I don't have a trade. The only possible trade I might have is if the momentum changes to the upside. I'll give it till a quarter of. Now, I'm not going to cry if it works to the downside. I didn't really have a signal, okay, at the right time because I didn't have moving average agreement. Now you're getting moving average agreement, but it's not really following all the rules of the setup. So a setup will be clearer to the upside. It's late now, getting late after the report. So a 30-second bar prints, and it's still dark red, so that's not a signal, okay? It's not a signal. So I'm just waiting. Now the moving averages, you have a moving average cross. But it's sort of like everything happened at different times. Nothing happened at the right time together, for me anyway. So for me, I did not have, there's my first coral bar, right? So if I get a second coral bar, am I interested in taking it long? Not with the moving averages pointed down. I think that's going to work against you, right? It's going to work against you. And look, that coral bar hasn't printed yet. Now it's the first one has printed, but you have a dark red bar trying to print. Okay, so look, I don't really have a setup here. I don't have a setup here for me. So it's already 10 minutes after the report. Let's see what the next change is. We'll see what the next change. I want to remind everybody, just don't forget, we've got our WASD class on Friday. It's free. Please register for the class. It's a WASD masterclass. And I am watching price. Here's the registration link. Okay, here's the registration link, www.fmt2021. So sign up at noon Friday. So I don't see, for me, really, it didn't all come together at the same time. Now, I told what I said for my type of trade, because I don't wait for moving averages, etc. It would have worked for me because I would have entered on that first bar after the news. It's much riskier. You have to use a much bigger stop. You have to use a 20 tick stop. There's 3 EMA period. There's 4 EMAs. Michael, there's 21, 47, 8, and 100. So for me, it's too late now to take a trade, and I'll reach out to Fred. I'm just curious what he used as his entry today, and we'll update this as we go forward, because for me, it was not a clear enough, safe enough entry using Fred's methodology. Now, if I'm getting his methodology wrong, he'll teach it to me, and that's part of why I'm not jumping into doing it live, because I want to make sure I understand the methodology. And today, to me, it was confusing methodology because the moving averages didn't support a move. Price action did. The momentum failure did, but the moving averages said no. Okay, so that's why I did not enter. Now, everybody, Tess is going to have to wait. We've already gone over this so many times. I have to go and get ready for the next setup. I'm sorry. So you have the video, so you're going to have to watch the video. I can't go into it now. I'm sorry. I have to leave and get ready for WASD. So I just want to remind everybody that our next trade room is at 11:30. Okay, 11:30. We've got WASD. And then we've got the 30-year bond auction at 12:30. I'm not sure if we'll stay in the room or not. Not sure if we'll stay in the room. So I'm going to be at WASD a few minutes early. So I'll see everybody at 11:30. Tess, I'll have to go over it some other time. I'm sorry. And just go over that video. Go over the video. All of it's in there. And I'll see everybody at 11:30. Okay. See you later.